want my leg down.
Underneath the White House roof last night, I really saw the creep. He was halfway fast asleep. He thought I wouldn't tell the world, but the children in the sheets.
And you ain't.
So that's Chandler Crump. I think he's probably coming on my show next week. He's a good guy. He's 17. I think he's the first independent teenager to go to #1 on the charts, or to be charted on Billboard, something like that. Youngest independent artist to ever be on there. He's 17. I think I'll be talking to him next week. That's hilarious. Of course, Joe Biden would never do anything wrong, Catherine.
No, not or creepy.
No, never smelling children's hair, never asking 12-year-olds if they're 17, never doing any of that stuff.
Talking about little kids touching his hairy legs.
There exactly. There's Chandler right there. Strapping young gentleman. There's an old Paul Joseph Watson video producer of the compilation of Joe Biden being really creepy that we can probably throw to. So Joe Biden is getting a colonoscopy, and I guess for emergency reasons, or maybe they're just doing it for social justice reasons, Kamala Harris will be the first woman, born woman, or birthing person, I guess, with presidential powers of all time. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I feel empowered by it, Andrew. It makes me feel like I could be president one day, JK.
That's the perfect answer. President Biden have routine colonoscopy. See, that's the thing.
Routine and transferring power doesn't really line up to me.
He's so old, maybe it's detrimental. And how funny, I think it was Tim Pool, if you want to bring him up, he said something, the first time a woman will have presidential powers in the United States of America is because the president is getting his butthole checked out. Very epic news coming out from that sector. I don't know if this, they use so many triggering things for Kamala Harris. Like, they want everything that she does to be monumental. She was the first, Indian senator, and then she's the first black vice president. So they use then the woman vice president. They use whatever they can for her every single time. And now this, their ratings are in the dumper.
I think we have some creepy Joe Biden footage.
We have more creepy Joe Biden footage?
I mean, there's tons of it out there. So.
There is tons of it. And forget about what they're stealing from James O'Keefe, too. We can't read that either. Joe Biden's been constantly...
There he is.
And the parents are always, clutching their children because of what he does.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is nice, but there's no children. Oh, there. Well, there's us.
Their approval ratings are in the dumpster, is what I was trying to say. And Kamala Harris is in the 20%. Joe Biden is one of the lowest ever for a president this far into his presidency. So they're doing whatever they can, I think, to prop Kamala up.
Which is so weird because everything's going so good in America,
That's
right?
True.
People are happy, prices are low, the shelves are stocked. Everything is great.
Well, okay, here it is. So this girl is a teenager. This is him being creepy with
an elderly woman. Yeah,
elderly women. More children here. He loves touching the shoulder. His signature move is the hair and the smelling. The stuff about him and his... I don't even know how much I can say on...
Those bikers are not happy about that. Oh, my God. Get your hands off people.
He's taking classes with the Cuomos. This is one of the creepiest ones.
Yeah, this is a bad one. She's
the
clearly
hair
uncomfortable.
Smell, and then...
It reminds me of when I used to be a kid and have to go to weddings, and old men with terrible breath would be like, "Oh, you're a nice looking little girl." It's like no one needs that. No one needs that.
Never underestimate the power of Joe Biden smelling your hair. That brings you right to the top. What's the next story we got lined up here? I think it's, what is it?
Oh, I think it's Chrissy Teigen.
Chrissy Teigen. You're probably going to know more about this than I do. Famously, Chrissy Teigen had to...
Oh, because I'm a woman, Andrew? Seriously? No, but I do, because...
there you go.
I love to hate her.
She famously had to delete, hundreds of thousands of tweets. It's an insane amount of things to tweet.
She was telling people to kill themselves, often and frequently, and not even, a long time ago. It's, pretty recently, telling multiple people that they should kill themselves, publicly.
She also had creepy comments about calling teens hot and stuff.
Oh yeah, it was like a kiddie beauty pageant.
Her and John Legend are very creepy. So let's pull up what we have about Chrissy Teigen's party. It's from that show. What's it called again?
Squid Game.
Squid Games. I don't watch it.
You never saw it?
I refuse to.
It's messed up.
To watch a dubbed show.
I love Korean cinema though. It's good.
Oh, of course we all do. So what's the big controversy here, Catherine?
So people are saying that. People are saying that she completely missed the point of the show, which is about the disparity in wealth between the uber rich in Korea and the rest of the people who are really debt-ridden and poor. And so she throws a super lavish party for rich people. And, you know, I don't like Chrissy Teigen, but I don't think this is offensive. I'm not offended by it. I'm
not
sorry.
offended. She's just weird. And
she's weird
the
and
problem
creepy.
is she throws her personality out to these people that are supposed to believe in this stuff. It's the same thing like the Met Gala where it was like $30,000 to get in. I don't know what the hubbub about her is. She's weird looking.
She's weird looking.
John Legend is clearly very effeminate. Maybe that's why they're together. But I don't...
It's because a couple years ago they called her relatable because she's a model, or she was a model, and she would be like tweeting about like, oh, I love pizza with extra cheese. And they're like, oh my God, she's so relatable. I like
true.
pizza with cheese. It's like, that is the lowest form of like how to engage with young women. It's like, I'm beautiful and skinny, but like I eat a lot of pizza. It's like,
Destiny's Child used to talk about eating
junk
McDonald's
food.
a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Which I'm sure
Lies.
made a lot of teenage girls happy. Now, I think she tries to appeal to the audience that's supposed to, you know, we're against rich people, even though they all wish they were rich.
Yeah.
And then she goes and does that, which is, you know, not supposed to be what they're for. But of course, they're hypocrites, so it doesn't really matter. They're all just throwing their voices into the void, hoping that something sticks. And Chrissy Teigen's probably given up on that, given the fact that people think she's really creepy and weird already.
Maybe she's like leaning into that. Because she's constantly in the news for doing bad stuff, and yet she's not canceled. It's very vexing. So maybe this is just like her way of being like, yeah, I'm going to lean into the creepy thing. I'm going to... she's like aligning herself with the terrible elites in Squid Game. So maybe she's just like trying to get in the headlines. I mean, that would be the first time a celebrity did something outrageous to get on the news, right?
I heard that's what Alec Baldwin did recently. We've got a thing up about George Clooney not being happy, I guess is the words you could use, about the whole Alec Baldwin on-set disaster and about how they handled it. But we need to keep in mind that George Clooney is not like a brilliant individual. His political views are terrible, and we need to be careful here who we praise just because they agree with us on something like this. But Alec Baldwin, I don't know how you feel about that. He seemed to, like, as stupid as the situation as it is, and him, like, clearly shouldn't be just pulling the trigger on this gun. He seems pretty apologetic. Now, he's not a very good person. I'm not going to defend him on that, I don't think. Great actor. But he seems like he's doing the right things after something like this happened. Obviously, unless you're huge conspiracy that he did it on purpose. He seems to be doing the right things. He wants to fund more training. He wants to make sure that nothing like this ever happens again. He wants to have police on set. He's trying to do the right things. And now maybe him and George Clooney just don't get along.
Yeah, maybe they have some beef from like the 80s. But my thing with Alec Baldwin is like, I was on the fence about like, you know, is he really responsible criminally, morally? But I took a gun safety class. I took one gun safety class. And the first and only thing really that was hammered into us is just like, it's called ACTS and PROVE. It's an acronym. And I forget what every letter stands for. But basically you have to check the bore, you have to check the chamber, you have to make sure there's no freaking projectiles, bullets in your gun before you do anything. It's like, oh, I'm going to hand my empty gun to Andrew. Andrew's job now is to double check that there's no bullets or anything in that gun. So it's like,
you just never pointed at
somebody.
somebody.
Don't point and shoot a gun that even if someone says, hey, this is an empty, there's nothing in this gun. You're like, you don't go, oh, is there? Like you have to check it first. And it's like, Alec Baldwin, that's on you. I'm sorry. Like,
not to get into too much gun talk on YouTube. We know they hate that.
They're
but
terrible.
I've been looking
Guns
up
are terrible.
constitutional carry. No, they're not. The YouTube censors. Constitutional carry in the U.S. There's a cool map on Wikipedia that shows that basically the majority of states are slowly getting into litigation where they're forced to admit that it's your constitutional right to carry either openly or concealed without any restrictions, and you don't need a license for it. So they have this map that gradually turns color as all these different states enact their constitutional carry laws. So in so many states now, I believe as long as you're a U.S. citizen, you can just get a gun, carry it as long as it's within the laws of that area.
Without any training?
Yeah, you don't. It's in their constitution. Just like freedom of speech, Catherine. Let's get you a lesson on the Constitution.
We don't have that here.
No, we don't.
I know.
We don't have any real laws. We learned, and you can hear about that on my interview with Ezra Levant on Andrew Says, which is on rebelnewsplus.com.
Wasn't that your 50th show?
Big 5-0, yes.
Huge.
And we'll be having David Menzies for the 1 year anniversary. I'm thinking maybe just all the times David Menzies been attacked, we'll review that. The dog bite, the hobo attacks,
The water.
get run over by a bus.
He was run over by a bus.
The Conservative Party bus of Andrew Scheer ran over his foot, I believe, or bumped him, one of the two. I don't
If
want
it ran
to.
over his foot, he wouldn't have a foot. He would
Probably
have a
not. I
pancake.
think it bumped into him while he was standing there.
okay.
I should
But
get that
you shouldn't
right.
do that. You shouldn't drive into people with a bus.
No, maybe that's why he lost the election. We did talk about, Ezra and I, why he thinks Aaron O'Toole is failing as a leader. We talked about a lot of great stuff. You're going to want to watch that on Rebel News Plus. And as we think about pulling away from YouTube, we've got so many things to get to. So if you want to get the right link, it's in the description. rebelnews.com/livestreams is where you can get it, because we can't take some of these topics to YouTube. They'll throw it back in our
We're
face. They'll
muzzled.
spit on us.
Yeah.
Then I wanted to make a joke about the YouTube terrorist, but we won't get into that, especially not on YouTube.
No.
We've got stuff about Avi Yemeni we want to talk about. Somebody in Parliament called him a Nazi, of course. And
Austria.
Austria and Germany are doing completely unironic things that they've never done before in history. And a whole lot of stuff that we can't talk about on YouTube, so we want you to go over to Rumble, Super U, and
Super U.
Odyssey. Yeah, big things going on those platforms these days. A lot of people are moving to Rumble. Donald Trump Jr. is on there. Russell Brand, I think, just moved
Yes, he
over.
did.
One of my favorite UFC fighters, Jorge Masvidal, just moved over there. Who else is on there? Of course, Dave Rubin. Crowder streams on there now. Gets tons of views.
Joe Rogan was talking about it. He said he's not on it, but he was talking about it in one of his recent podcasts, and he was like, we just have to keep saying the word Rumble, Rumble, Rumble,
Well,
Rumble.
because he wants them to pay him, I would imagine. When you have a giant contract with Spotify for exclusivity, then I'd imagine...
I don't think Rumble's going to have Spotify money, though.
No, they're going to need to pay him like $150 million.
Yeah.
They should go after somebody else, like somebody super edgy, like Tim... Well, Tim Pool's not edgy. I was going to say Tim Dillon. But they should go after Tim Pool or something. Offer him a boatload of money, which he probably already has. We talked about that podcast the other day, me and Matt Brevner, with himself, Joe
Yeah.
Rogan, Alex Jones, Blair
Blair
White, Drew Hernandez, and Michael
Michael
Malice.
Malice.
It was a pretty good one. Not as exciting as I thought it would
I was
be, though.
listening to it, but I was finding it, like, I love all of those people. I was just like, it's a lot of talking over each other, so, you
Joe
know,
Rogan didn't
you
like
have
that.
to be in the mood.
Are we clear from YouTube? We're all clear. So Avi Yemeni, you